Mom, this ship is like a floating city. Ray exclaimed, his eyes shining as he looked around the bustling harbor. Hundreds of passengers were rushing onto the deck, carrying their luggage and dreams of a wonderful journey. Leo nodded approvingly. I want to climb up to the observation deck and see if I can see my home. Bella smiled, clasping the hands of her twin boys, whose curly blonde hair sparkled in the sunlight. Their clear green eyes sparkled with mischief and intelligence. Leo and Ray looked identical, but if you looked closely, Leo had a dimple on his left cheek and Ray did not. Okay, little explorers, but make sure you come with your mother. She won't find the lost. She pulled her scarf tighter around her, because the harbor breeze was chilly, and she didn't want to catch a cold so early in the trip. The boys chattered together, talking about the exciting adventures they believed they would find on this giant ship. The whistle of the Neptune's Pearl sounded, drowning out the noise of the harbor. The magnificent cruise ship proudly sailed across the ocean, preparing for its transatlantic journey. Bella took a deep breath, feeling the salty taste of the ocean, trying to dispel the worries that were lurking in her heart. She tucked a strand of hair that had been blown by the wind behind her ear, and thought to herself, this trip is going to be great, we're going to make beautiful memories. Alex stepped onto the deck, the morning sunlight shining directly on his face. His angular face with a sharp jawline, marked by the traces of time. His deep ash-gray eyes, clearly showing the traces of a man of experience, looked straight ahead, not revealing any emotions, but that only added to his 40-year-old attractiveness. His neatly trimmed black hair, a few strands falling on his forehead, further enhanced his worldly appearance. His nose was straight and high, his lips tightly pressed together as if he was holding back something. Under the sunlight, his pale white skin became even more prominent. Alex was tall, about 1.8 meters, wearing a meticulously tailored black suit that further enhanced his elegance. His shoulders were broad, his back straight, his steps decisive and confident. As he stepped onto the deck, he gently adjusted his dark blue tie, an unconscious gesture that showed his caution and attention to form. His slender hands, with prominent knuckles, gently gripped the railing as he looked around, as if searching for someone. Night fell on Neptune's Pearl. The ship was as brilliant as a sparkling jade in the vast ocean. Warm yellow lights shone into the night sky, creating a magnificent scene. Alex adjusted his collar, took a deep breath to regain his confidence. This meeting with an important partner could decide the future of the project he had poured all his heart into. Before leaving the room, he carefully checked his assistant's message, confirming the address of the ship's deck. There could be no mistake. Alex stepped out of the elevator, walking along the luxurious corridor, the sound of leather shoes clicking rhythmically on the floor. He remembered his assistant's instructions, the details of the partner, preparing himself for any tricky questions that might arise. As he approached the designated deck area, he noticed an unusual silence. Instead of the usual cheerful laughter, there was only the sound of waves lapping against the side of the ship. He stopped and checked his messages again. This was the place. He raised his hand to knock on the door, but paused. 2 pairs of children's shoes, tiny and cute, were neatly arranged in front of the door. Maybe my assistant made a mistake, he thought to himself. He called her, but after a while of talking, she still insisted that there was no mistake. He sighed and decided to knock. And then the scene he saw. The 2 children sat on the bed, their eyes glued to the colorful pages of the comic book. Leo and Ray, twins with golden hair that shone like the morning sun, looked adorable in their soft pajamas. The large bed was covered with a blue blanket, with a few unscrambled toys scattered on it. "Mom, this superhero is so cool!" Ray exclaimed, his eyes sparkling, innocent like a baby bird that had just discovered something magical. He held up the book, pointing to the image of a superhero in a shiny suit of armor. "Yeah, but I like Spider-Man better," Leo said, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. His voice was a little calmer than Ray's, but his eyes were still bright with excitement. In a corner of the cabin, Bella was busy cleaning up her things. The sound of fabric and zippers could be heard faintly. She was wearing a thin dress, her long hair tied loosely, a few strands falling down her cheeks. The cabin was small but warm, with the faint scent of her perfume. Suddenly, the cabin door opened. A cold sea breeze blew in. Bella shivered and raised her head. She was stunned. Her blue eyes widened in surprise at the sight of the man before her. Her breath caught in her chest, her hands instinctively tightening around the towel she was holding. Her heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to explode. "Alex?" Her voice was shaky, almost broken. The man stood in the doorway, his tall figure cast by the light from the hallway, creating a faint shadow on the floor. The wind blew gently, ruffling his dark brown hair. Alex did not answer immediately. He stared at the two children on the bed, the familiar features making his heart clench. Then his eyes moved to Bella. She was as beautiful as he remembered, but there was something different about her face, wary, distant, and hurt. "Bella, why are you here?" His voice trailed off, shock making his words crumble. "You should be the one asking me that question, why are you here? And why are you planning to enter my room?" Below is an expanded version of the story, with more descriptive details about the characters' emotions, gestures, and surrounding context to make the story more vivid. The air in the cabin suddenly became stifling, as if every sound was swallowed up by the anger swirling inside Bella. She stood there, her hands unconsciously clenching the hem of her dress, her brown eyes flashing with anger, mixed with the pain she had tried to hide for the past 7 years. Her chest heaved, her breathing quickened, as if she was even a second late, her tears would betray her and spill out. "Get out of here!" she shouted, her voice cold and sharp like a knife cutting through the quiet space. The words hit Alex like a hammer, leaving him speechless. He looked at her, his eyes filled with confusion and pain. He had imagined meeting Bella countless times, but he never thought it would turn out like this. "Bella, But before he could finish his sentence, Bella rushed forward and used all her strength to push him away. Her small hands, seemingly weak, carried the strength of resentment that had been pent up over the years. Alex staggered back. And then... boom! The cabin door slammed shut in his face. Everything fell into a deadly silence. Alex stood still, his hands still raised in the air as if trying to hold on to something that had slipped away. But all he heard was the sound of the waves crashing against the side of the ship and the night wind blowing through the long corridor. 7 years. It's been 7 years. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath to suppress the emotions rising in his chest. A cold wind blew past, slightly ruffling his hair. When he opened his eyes, he looked up at the vast night sky, where the stars twinkled endlessly. The world is round, but he never expected to meet Bella again under these circumstances. At the same time, in a dark room not far away, Mark crossed his arms over his chest, staring at the surveillance camera screen. A smirk appeared on his face. "Looks like this trip is more interesting than I thought." The blue light from the screen reflected on Mark's angular face, making his eyes look even sharper. He slowly picked up the glass of wine on the table, swirling the red liquid in the glass before bringing it to his lips to take a small sip. He was the one who had deliberately switched the room number, to ruin Alex's important meeting with his partner. But unexpectedly, his game brought about a more exciting drama than this. Out in the hallway, Captain Max, a middle-aged man with a silver beard, was patrolling when he saw Alex standing motionless. He frowned and walked closer. "Are you okay?" His deep voice rang out, pulling Alex back to reality. I'm fine," Alex replied, but his voice was still shaking. Captain Max looked at him for a moment, his eyes sharp as if they could see through his soul. Then he slowly asked, "What happened?" Alex shook his head, trying for a faint smile. "Nothing. Just a little dizzy." Captain Max said nothing more, but his eyes never left Alex. Finally, he nodded. "If you need any help, just let me know." Alex nodded slightly, then turned and walked away. But his feet had no purpose, just walking aimlessly on the deck, in the quiet night sky. His footsteps echoed on the wooden floor, blending with the rhythmic sound of the waves. Old memories suddenly arose, like a tidal wave pulling him back to the past. 7 years ago. How happy they were. Alex remembered the first time he met Bella in college. She was a girl full of energy, with bright eyes and a smile as bright as the sun. She was smart, strong, and always had a strong belief in the future. He was attracted to her from the first moment. They loved each other deeply. They shared their dreams, laughed together, cried together. Alex once thought that as long as he had Bella, he could face anything in this world. But then, everything fell apart. His family is in financial trouble, his father's company is on the brink of bankruptcy. He is forced to make a painful choice, give up Bella to marry his partner's daughter, in exchange for financial help to save the company. He chose family. He chose responsibility over love. And the price to pay is losing Bella forever. The image of her eyes that day, full of hurt, full of despair, still haunts him to this day. He told himself that doing so was right, necessary. But why? Did his heart still hurt so much? The sea breeze blew, making his robe flutter. He stopped, put his hands on the deck railing, and looked down at the pitch-black sea. Maybe. He never really let go of the past. And now, fate lets him meet Bella again. Along with two kids who have eyes just like him. He took a deep breath, trying to contain the emotions churning in his chest. But he knew this wasn't the end, it was just the beginning of a great storm that was about to hit. Below is an expanded and more in-depth version of the story, with more descriptive details about the characters' emotions and the surrounding setting to make the story more realistic and emotional. The next evening, on the deck, the sea breeze blew strongly, carrying the cold air of the vast ocean. In the sky, a crescent moon quietly shone among the hazy clouds, reflecting on the dark sea, creating magical shimmering streaks of light. Alex stood there, leaning against the deck railing, his eyes on Bella's cabin door. His breath mingled with the sea breeze, his chest heaving with excitement. All day, his mind had been restless. The image of Bella, her eyes full of pain and anger, her sharp words, haunted him. He lost her once, but this time, he couldn't let it happen again. Trying to muster up all his courage, Alex called out, his voice warm but carrying a sincere plea. "Bella, can we talk outside for a moment?" He waited a moment, his heart pounding. There was no response from the other side of the door. The space around him suddenly became strangely quiet, except for the sound of the waves lapping against the side of the ship. The cabin door opened slightly. Bella stepped out and stood in front of him. She wore a thin silk nightgown that hugged her body's curves. The thin coat gently swayed in the sea breeze, further accentuating her gentle yet enchanting beauty. The moonlight shone down, making her skin even whiter. Her long hair was loose, a few strands of hair fluttering in the wind. Alex's heart skipped a beat. She was still as beautiful as ever. In fact, her beauty had become more mature and sharp, no longer the innocence of the girl he once loved. But her eyes, the eyes that once shone with tenderness for him, now contained only coldness and hurt. "Do you have anything else to say, Alex?" Bella asked, her voice emotionless. Alex swallowed, trying to find the words to say what he had been keeping inside for so long. I just want to tell you something." His voice was a little shaky. Bella crossed her arms over her chest, looking at him with a questioning gaze. "Then say it. But don't expect to receive forgiveness from me." Alex looked at her for a long time, then spoke in a low, sincere voice. "Bella, I'm sorry." Bella laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh, it was filled with bitterness. "Sorry? What good is it to say sorry now?" "I know I hurt you," Alex continued, his eyes filled with regret. "But at that time, I had no choice. I had to save the company, I had to take care of my family." Bella clenched her hands, her nails digging into her palms, but she didn't feel any pain. The pain in her heart was 100 times greater. "You chose your family and your career," she said, her voice sharp. "You abandoned me. And you don't even know it. You abandoned our child." Alex suddenly froze. "What did you say?" He stammered, as if he couldn't believe his ears. "Our child?" Bella took a deep breath, her eyes looking straight at him, not shying away. Yes, Alex. Leo and Ray are your sons. Alex's heart stopped beating. He shook his head, not because he didn't believe her, but because the shock was so great that his mind went blank. Those children. Their eyes. Those eyes were strangely similar to his. All this time, he thought they were another man's children. But no, they were his children. His own flesh and blood. He felt his legs go weak, as if all the strength in his body had been drained. Why? His voice was hoarse. Why didn't you tell me? Bella pursed her lips, her eyes filled with deep pain. Because it doesn't matter anymore, Alex. Her voice was bitter. You made your decision 7 years ago. I know that no matter what I say, you won't come back. Alex clenched his fists, his breathing heavy. He knew she was right. Bella. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I was so selfish, so stupid. I lost you and the kids. Bella looked at him, her eyes reflecting the moonlight, sparkling but determined. Yes, she said, each word cutting into his heart. You lost us. And now, you have no right to us. The words were like a knife stabbing deep into Alex's chest. He couldn't breathe. But then, he looked up, his gaze more determined than ever. I know. His voice was low, but determined. I'm not asking for anything. I just want to be with the kids, to make it up to them. Bella smiled faintly. Do you think it's that simple? She looked at him, her eyes filled with disbelief. Do you think a few words of apology can erase everything that happened? Alex shook his head. No, I don't think so. I know I made a big mistake. But Bella, I'm willing to do anything to make it up to you and the kids. No matter how long it takes. Bella was silent. She looked at him for a long time. Her eyes were no longer as cold as before, but still carried a hint of defense. Alex knew that it wouldn't be easy for her to forgive him. But at least he had a chance, even if it was a slim one. And he was definitely not going to miss it. Below is an expanded version of the story, with more details about Alex's unhappy marriage, including conflicts, emotions, and context to highlight his loneliness and loss. After breaking up with Bella, Alex devoted all his mind to work, trying to forget the painful emotions that he did not want to face. He no longer believed in love. Instead, he used work to fill the void in his soul, built a powerful business empire, became a powerful young CEO, respected by the entire business community. He had it all: money, fame, power. But every night when he returned home, his large room was filled with emptiness and coldness. His marriage to Sophia, the daughter of a business associate, was a calculated arrangement. Alex knew from the beginning that it was not love, but he accepted it out of family duty. His father's company was on the brink of bankruptcy, and this marriage was the only way to save everything. We are a perfect couple, Alex. Sophia had said on her wedding day. Her smile was bright, but in her eyes there was no tenderness, no love, only pride in being the wife of a powerful man. She is beautiful, charming, but also cold and ambitious. For Sophia, Alex is not a husband, but just a ticket to the top of society. They lived in a luxurious villa, fully furnished, with servants always ready to serve at any time. But there was no laughter, no warmth of a family, only terrifying silence and endless quarrels. The endless arguments. At first, Alex tried to keep the marriage going. He thought that if he tried hard enough, maybe he could get used to this life. But then he realized, that was impossible. Sophia never cared about him. She only cared about lavish parties, branded items, and glamorous social relationships. She always wanted to be the center of attention, wanted to be admired and complimented. Do you know how sick I am of sitting at home waiting for you every night? She shouted during one argument. You only know work, work, work. What did I marry you for? To be an abandoned wife? Alex looked at her, his eyes blank. So what do you want, Sophia? Money? A bigger house? Or another husband? Sophia sneered. Yes, I want another husband. At least one who can care about me. He wasn't surprised to learn she was cheating. She hadn't bothered to hide it. The shady texts, the secret calls, the late arrival smelling of unfamiliar perfume. I know. But I don't care. Their marriage was long dead, an empty shell. Divorce, emotionless liberation. After 2 years of marriage, they decided to divorce. There were no tears, no holding back, just a contract on the table and compensation figures for Sophia. Is that all? Sophia looked at him, her voice full of mockery. Not a word of apology, not a single regret? Alex took a sip of wine, his eyes unwavering. Isn't this what you want? Freedom. Money. And a life without me. She laughed, but there was a hint of bitterness in her deep blue eyes. You are a cold man, Alex, she said before leaving. He did not deny. As the door closed, Alex breathed a sigh of relief. But the relief did not bring happiness, but only an endless emptiness in his soul. Lonely in the bustling city. Alex returns to single life, but instead of feeling free, he feels emptier than ever. His luxurious penthouse was on the top floor of a skyscraper, overlooking the city lights at night. But despite being surrounded by luxurious buildings and bustling streets, he still felt terribly lonely. Every night, he sat alone on the sofa, a glass of wine in his hand, watching the city lights flicker. Sometimes, he wondered, if he had chosen Bella that day, would his life have been different? I know the answer. Money and fame can't buy happiness. And he lost the most important things in his life. From that night, when he met Bella again, his heart was stirred again. He thought he had forgotten her, but in fact, that love never disappeared. For the first time in 7 years, he felt like he wanted something, not money, not power, but family. A real family. He thought about Bella. About Leo and Ray. I regret it. But what good is regret? You lost them once. Can you win them back again? That night, a light rain fell over the city, the wind whistling through the large windows of the cold penthouse. Alex slumped on the sofa, the bottle of brandy almost empty. His eyes were bloodshot, the city lights reflecting in his empty, lifeless pupils. Pain, regret, and loneliness gripped his heart like an invisible hand. In his drunken stupor, he fumbled for his phone, his fingers shaking as he dialed Bella's number. The screen displayed a familiar name, the name that had haunted him all these years. The bell rang long. Finally, her voice rang out, soft but cold. Hello? Alex clutched the phone, his heart pounding. Bella. His voice was hoarse, mixed with a sigh. I'm sorry. I miss you. I miss the kids. God, Bella, I was so stupid. Can you ever forgive me? On the other end of the line, Bella was silent for a moment. She couldn't believe these words were coming from Alex's mouth. The man who had abandoned her, abandoned their 2 children, was now whispering words of love as if everything could go back to the way it was. Alex, you're drunk. Bella's voice was cold, like a knife cutting into his heart. Do you think a phone call, a few apologies can erase the hurt? If so, you're wrong. No. Bella, please don't hang up. But only heard the accidental beep beep sound. Alex collapsed, clutching his head in his hands. Tears, which he had been holding back for years, silently flowed out. He hated himself, hated his stupid decisions. He was a failure. A lonely man, lost in the meaningless luxury he had created. Bella put down the phone, her heart filled with mixed emotions. She wanted to hate Alex, but she couldn't deny that his pained voice touched the deepest part of her heart. She turned to the window. The Neptune's Pearl was still gliding across the vast ocean, its shimmering lights reflecting on the black water. In another corner, Leo and Ray were still running around, exploring every corner of the ship. They were unaware that from afar, a gaze was silently watching. Mark. He was not just an ordinary passenger. As night fell, He appeared on the deck, approaching Alex, a sinister smile on his lips. "What a coincidence, Alex?" His voice was low, like a snake whisper. "Not only did you meet your ex, but you also found out you had 2 children. What an emotional story." Alex turned, his eyes cold and wary. "What do you want, Mark?" "I want to help you," Mark shrugged, casually. "Or, you can help me. You're a perfect candidate for some business deal. If you cooperate, I can guarantee Bella and the kids will be safe. If not..." He paused, smiling. "The ocean is a big place, you know. Accidents happen." Alex clenched his fists, so angry that he wanted to punch him in the face. But he knew, Mark was not a simple person. On the other side of the ship, Bella is feeling uneasy. Strange passengers keep appearing near her cabin. At the same time, she receives a letter from Dr. Eva, a mysterious woman she has only met briefly. "Be careful. There are those who do not simply travel on this ship." Bella felt a chill down her spine. She immediately went to find Alex. "Are you hiding something from me?" Bella looked straight into his eyes, her voice filled with doubt. Alex hesitated, but then took her hand. "Bella, you need to be careful. If anything unusual happens, notify the captain immediately." Bella wasn't satisfied with that answer, but she knew he was hiding something serious. She turned away, her heart filled with worry. In a hidden corner of the ship, Leo and Ray were busy chasing a small cat they spotted near the cargo hold. They were unaware that someone was following them. As the two were about to turn back, a dark figure appeared right behind them. "Hey, kids." Mark stood there, his smile cold. "It's dangerous to be out here alone. Let me take you somewhere safer." Leo immediately sensed something was wrong. "We don't need it. My mom is waiting at the buffet." Ray instinctively backed away, but it was too late. 2 burly men rushed forward, covered their mouths, and dragged them into a small room near the cargo hold. Leo struggled, tears welling up in his eyes. "Let us go." Mark bent down, looking straight into the eyes of the 2 trembling children before him. "Be quiet and behave, or you will regret it." He signaled, and his men dragged the 2 children into a secret warehouse. The iron door slammed shut. Bella panicked when she couldn't find Leo and Ray. She ran everywhere, asking everyone, but no one had seen the 2 children. Her heart felt like it was being squeezed. She immediately ran to find Alex. "Leo and Ray are missing. You have to help me find them." Alex froze. A bad premonition struck him like a bolt of lightning. He remembered Mark's threat. Clenching his fists, Alex gritted his teeth and roared, "Damn it. Mark. The real storm is coming. And this time, Alex can't afford to lose his family again." Alex ran to find Mark, anger boiling inside him. He knew he couldn't beat Mark in this fight, at least not yet. He had too much power and influence. But he also knew that he couldn't let Mark get away with it. He had to find a way to turn things around. He barged into Mark's VIP room, the door burst open like thunder. Mark was sitting there sipping a glass of wine, his expression calm as if nothing had happened. "Mark!" Alex roared, his voice filled with anger. "Let the kids go." Mark raised an eyebrow, looking surprised. "Oh, Alex. What are you talking about? I don't understand." "Stop pretending." Alex lunged forward, grabbing Mark by the collar and squeezing. "You kidnapped Leo and Ray. Return them here immediately." Mark chuckled, removing Alex's hand from his collar. "Calm down, Alex. I just want to help you. You know, there are a lot of dangers on this ship. I'm just protecting the 2 kids." "You're lying." Alex gritted his teeth. "What do you want?" "I want you to work with me," Mark said, his tone becoming serious. "I have a few business deals that you would be perfect for. If you agree, I will return the children to you. If not..." He shrugged, "I'm not sure what will happen." "You dare." Alex roared, raising his fist. You dare touch my child, I will kill you. Watch your words, Alex, Mark warned, his eyes turning cold. Remember, you're in a weaker position. I have 2 kids, and I can do whatever I want. Okay, Mark, Alex said, his voice cold. I agree to cooperate with you. Mark smirked, his eyes filled with satisfaction. Good, Alex. I knew you were a smart guy. But I have one condition, Alex said, holding up a finger. I want a clear contract, with all the terms and conditions clearly written out. Of course, Mark said, gesturing to a junior. Get the contract ready. While waiting for the contract, Alex secretly activated the recording app on his phone. He knew that Mark's words could be important evidence to expose his crimes. When the contract arrived, Alex read every clause carefully. He knew he was taking a dangerous gamble. But he had no choice. He had to save Leo and Ray. After signing the contract, Mark smiled triumphantly. Great, Alex. We'll work well together. I hope so, Alex said, his eyes cold. Mark clapped his hands, signaling to one of his men. Bring the 2 kids here. Leo and Ray were brought into the room, looking scared and confused. Alex ran to hug the 2 children, kissing their foreheads. It's okay, kids, don't worry, Alex said, his voice warm. Leo and Ray looked at Alex with surprised eyes. They didn't understand why this man saved them. They had never seen him before. Who are you? Leo asked. I'm your mother's friend, Alex said, smiling. I'll take you back to her. He took the 2 children by the hand and led them out of Mark's room. He knew he had to get them to Bella quickly. She was worried. Along the way, Alex tries to comfort Leo and Ray. He tells them funny stories, trying to make them forget their fear. When they reached Bella's cabin, she was standing at the door, looking worried. When she saw Leo and Ray, she ran to hug them, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry I lost you, Bella said, her voice choked. We're okay, Mom, Leo said, hugging her tightly. Bella looked at Alex, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Alex. You saved my children. Nothing, Alex said, smiling. I just did what needed to be done. He looked at Leo and Ray, his eyes full of love. He wanted to tell them that he was their father, but he knew that now was not the time. Bella waited until Leo and Ray were fast asleep, then she gently closed the door and put on a thin shirt. She wanted to go see Alex to thank him. Bella stood in front of Alex's dark wooden door, her hands clutching the hem of her dress as she tried to control the emotions that were surging inside her. She had been through so much, but it was Alex who had saved her and the children from danger. She knew she needed to thank him, but more than that, she wanted to understand him better. Taking a deep breath, Bella knocked softly on the door. After a second, the door swung open. Alex stood there, looking somewhat tired, but his deep blue eyes still held the same sharpness. Bella? You're not asleep yet? His voice was deep but slightly surprised. Bella looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. Alex, I want to thank you again. Without you, I don't know what would have happened to the kids. Alex looked at her silently for a moment, then smiled slightly. It's nothing, Bella. I just did what needed to be done. They were his children, he couldn't just leave them. She looked up at him, her eyes hesitant but then decided to ask, Can you tell me about your life? I want to know about you. A sea breeze blew, carrying a light salty scent. Alex sighed softly and stepped out onto the balcony. Tonight, the sky was a mysterious black, the sea reflecting the silvery moonlight. He leaned his hands on the railing, silent. There was nothing special about my life, he began, his voice quiet. I was married, but it was a mistake. I didn't love her, and she didn't love me. All she cared about was money and fame. Even when we lived together, there was always an invisible distance between us. She cheated, not just once, but many times. I tried to keep the marriage together for 2 years, but in the end, It was just a game of chess that I never had a chance of winning. In the end, we divorced, and I have never regretted that decision." Bella felt her heart sink. "I'm sorry, Alex." Alex shook his head, smiling sadly. "It's okay. I'm used to it. But perhaps the thing that scares me the most is loneliness." For the first time, Bella saw a weak Alex hidden behind the cold exterior. She suddenly realized that this man had also been hurt and had lost his way. "What about Mark?" Bella asked, breaking the silence. "Why did he kidnap the kids?" Alex's smile disappeared. His eyes darkened. "Mark is an arms dealer. He wanted you to cooperate with him, but you refused. To pressure him, he kidnapped your children to force you to give in." Bella took a cold breath. "He's cruel." Alex nodded. "Mark is a dangerous man. He will stop at nothing to achieve his goals." Bella felt her heart pounding. "So what did you do?" Alex looked straight into her eyes, his voice firm. "I agreed to cooperate with him. But that was just my plan. I secretly recorded our entire conversation. After the ship docked, I will hand over the evidence to the police." Bella breathed a sigh of relief. "You're so brave, Alex." He smiled, for the first time tonight, a truly warm smile. "I just want to protect the kids. And you." Bella's heart skipped a beat. She looked at him and suddenly realized that he had changed a lot. Alex used to be cold and ambitious, but now he was a gentle and sincere man. "Alex." She called his name softly, her voice trembling. Alex stepped closer, reaching out to gently stroke her cheek. "Bella, I know I've hurt you a lot. I don't expect you to forgive me. But if I can, I want to ask you for a chance. I want to make it up to you and the kids." Bella was silent, her eyes sparkling in the moonlight. She had forgiven him long ago, but she was still a little afraid. Afraid that if she trusted him again, she would be hurt again. But when she looked into his sincere eyes, she knew that she had no reason to avoid it anymore. I agree." Her voice choked. Alex smiled softly, wrapping his arms around Bella. She leaned against his chest, feeling the warmth radiating from his strong body. At that moment, she knew that she had truly found the love she had lost. Alex leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her lips. At first, it was just a light touch, but gradually, the kiss became more intense and passionate. His hands wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. His fingers lightly slid over her bare skin, crept up to her slim waist and up to her full breasts. Bella shivered, her breathing becoming rapid as Alex pulled down the straps of her dress, lifting her up and placing her gently on the sofa. His hot lips slid down her neck, then stopped at her full breasts. The intense feeling made Bella unable to control herself. She moaned softly in ecstasy. The moonlight shone through the curtains, illuminating their naked bodies entwined. Alex caressed Bella's soft curves, his rhythmic, graceful movements on her body as gentle as the waves lapping at the shore. The two of them entwined together without a single piece of clothing covering their bodies, merging together as if nothing could separate them. In the throes of ecstasy, Alex whispered softly in her ear, "I love you, Bella." Bella could only respond with a soft moan, accepting the love he gave her fully. The waves still beat, the moon still shines, and in that small room, two lost hearts finally found each other again. In the middle of the night, Bella returned to her deck with her hair a mess and her clothes still a little disheveled. She opened the door and entered the room. Looking at the twins sleeping soundly, she gently stroked their golden hair, then placed a soft kiss on their foreheads. She decided to tell them about Alex's existence the next morning. To let them know that Alex was their father. The brilliant dawn rose from the horizon, the first rays of sunlight filtered through the window, illuminating the small room. The gentle light embraced everything, carrying the breath of a new day full of hope. Outside, the chirping of birds mixed with the gentle sound of waves, creating a peaceful morning melody. The twins stirred awake, their round eyes sparkling in the sunlight. They yawned softly and jumped out of bed, their tiny feet trotting into the kitchen, where the aroma of toast and coffee filled the air. Bella had been up early, busily preparing breakfast, with pretty pancakes and warm glasses of milk on the table. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Bella was surprised, quickly wiped her hands on her apron and went to open the door. Standing in front of her was Alex. In his hand was a bouquet of bright red roses. He smiled, his eyes looking at her tenderly, then gently handed the bouquet to her and placed a light kiss on her cheek. The twins standing inside stared at the scene with wide eyes, extremely surprised and curious. Leo quickly said, "Ah, you were the one who saved us the other day?" Bella smiled softly, turning back to look at the two children. She bent down, gently stroked their hair and said softly, "Children, this is your father." The twins' eyes widened in surprise. Leo exclaimed excitedly, "So you're our dad? Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Alex laughed, his eyes filled with love as he looked at his children. He bent down, patted their heads, and said in a warm voice, "I'm sorry for making you wait so long. But from now on, I won't leave you again." The twins squealed with joy and hugged Alex. He laughed and wrapped his arms around all three of them. A gentle breeze blew, carrying the scent of flowers in the air. The sunlight shone on that warm scene, like a blessing for the family that had just found each other again. From now on, they would no longer be apart, together walking on the road ahead, where peace and happiness awaited. Thank you for following the story to the end. If you find this story interesting, please leave your feelings in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our interesting stories. See you in the next video.